Hello. So I just got back from Korea, but I spent the majority of yesterday um, watching the NAGF Pro Qualification tournament with some friends. I thought I should probably do some recap videos because I have some time and also I know most of the players, so I thought it might be interesting. The tournament is set up, there are 10 players. The number one player will become professional, and NAGF professional. The way the tournament is set up, there are two brackets, two divisions, Division A and Division B. Each bracket has 5 players, and they're going to play a round robin tournament within those 5 players. After the round robin, the top 2 from each division, based on tiebreakers and other things. Usually there's some tiebreaker thing because of the way the numbers work, but with tiebreakers, the top 2 players from each division will then be put into a elimination tournament. This is the schedule. I think all of this, the information is relatively hard to find this year. I don't know why. In the past, they made a really nice website, but I don't know. But yeah, then they go head to head. I think each round in the elimination is best of 3, so it's not just one game. And then the final match is also best of 3, and colors are determined by Nigiri, so you just, it's by random chance, and they get to play. I personally know Jay and Eric and Val, Jasper and Evan, and Eric Yoder. And I've met Alan. I don't know Alan that well, but he's by far the favorite for the tournament. He's looking really strong. But I thought I know some of the players. I know the Erics, Jay and Val, and I used to study together, and Evan and Jasper both are from San Diego, where it's my big tournaments of the year usually, so it's kind of exciting. In the first round, if you just want the results, I'll just show you the results. These are the results from the first round. This is thanks to Defan. Again, bracket information is pretty hard to find, so he made one. I just literally copy pasted the first one in case you want spoilers for the second round. So these are spoilers for the first round. Jay lost to Alan and Michael. Michael Shu. Alan won both his matches against Jay and Ethan. No, not Ethan. Evan, sorry. Evan lost to Alan. We just said that. And he won against Eric Yoder. Michael beat Jay. Had a bye. Because there's 5 people, each round there's a bye in that group. Some people were complaining, there's 10 people. Why are they not all playing every round? I personally, having done the pro qualification one time, think the bye system is kind of nice because it kind of spreads out your stamina. And since you're playing a round robin, it doesn't matter too much, but you can say maybe if I'm playing 2 of the stronger opponents on one day, it's more difficult than having a bye, but nothing's perfect. Eric Yoder lost to Evan. Okay, so I'll look at the games. Personally, this group's games, this is the second round results, isn't this? Yes, this is the second round results. Sorry about that. But we'll look at the games from the first round. My personal, I'm rooting for all the people I know, but I guess if I had to root for somebody, obviously Yoder is really fun to watch, so he's always like a favorite to, Evan is he's a kid I used to play. I still play at the tournaments. He's in middle school, I think. He's either going to 8th or 9th grade. He's extremely strong. He went from like 3 dan to 6 dan in the last 2 or 3 years. I was curious to see how he would stack up with everybody. Jay has been, regular in the pro qualification tournaments, and he also has been great at organizing and running events. He's off frequently at TD. Alan's been a super strong player in the US for a long time. Michael, I believe, is from Canada. I believe this is his 2nd or 3rd pro qualification tournament. He's been improving every year. Great to see them. We had Evan and Alan in the first round here. I'm going to try to do this quickly because there's 4 games per round. So if I do something super in-depth, it'll be rather tedious. So I'm going to do something kind of quick, but try to highlight the key moments. I haven't actually looked at this game. I saw some of them. I saw the end of this game. Opening is fairly standard. This jump is interesting. Usually black plays it because if white plays elsewhere, the next move would be b7, and this shape for black gives you a stronger shape than if you play the slide followed by c7 next. In this shape, white has leading moves, where here white can play this one, but it's not as strong against the shape. It's not sente. And if you push, it's sente, but these exchanges are more expensive, right? You can see that compared to the stones being flipped the other way, black shape is much stronger. But the results are, roughly the same. Alan plays b7. You want to play this early. Oh, sorry. Evan plays this variation. Kind of unusual. I don't usually see people push here. Usually I just see the... Oh, no, that's correct. Okay. Here, easy trap is to block. If you block, then this looks very similar to the normal 3-3 invasion Joseki with the double hane, but this exchange has been made, which is obviously good for white. The variation I'm talking about is here, but then for some reason you have this exchange, which is obviously very good for white. So usually in this shape, you leave it and push up. And you say, hey, if you want to take this, it just reverts to the normal Joseki, except white has spent an extra move. So white doesn't want to capture the stones, even though that's an option that's available. In the game, white extends. Black doesn't want to answer, so we'll leave it. There's no reason to answer after they extend, white's alive, and the black stones are flexible. So for black, the idea is that this was white's corner, we're going to treat these lightly. We made white kind of live slowly, in quotes, but it's really quite fine for white. It's not really that slow, but because white's being very solid, black's going to play quickly to get to a new place and to say these stones already have value. White pincers, presumably if white plays here, just an extension is nice, or the most common Joseki from this corner, you wouldn't want this coordinating. If you play away, knight move or turn is big. If you push, I think these stones are close enough that you the normal Joseki is like this, of course, but it's like a trade. But this is kind of not great shape for black. Later, white has moves like these, which because of the cut at d10, there's a wedge that's annoying. But sometimes when this wall is close enough, you can actually just block like this. And they have 5 liberties, and black has 5 liberties, but white cannot take one. White has to go down. So black should win this race. We can check really quick. Oh, look, we can't approach. We can't approach. If we play the ko, I mean, it's not even, it's a ko, but like, black, it's an approach ko. Black can play away once. White has to play again, and it's still a ko, and black gets to continue. So, also black can, make threats like this and stuff, but pretty good result. So, because this is closer than normal, we don't want to play the normal Joseki. Of course, there's other Joseki you could play, but Evan says, hey, I don't like you coordinating your stone, I want to play the pincer. This pincer is kind of unusual. You don't see this these days. In almost any other case, you just take the corner, but obviously here, whoops. Probably we don't play this one. We want sente to pincer this, and then these stones are in the awkward bad situation where it's strong and strong. So even if you save them, they don't have much value. So you don't want to end up in that situation, which is why Alan plays the kind of counter pincer, making a base for the group. The spacing is a little bit awkward. The thing that immediately sticks out to me is after the C11 stone is settled, this move is annoying. It's perfectly lining up with C11 and the P5 B7. Obviously, you can cut. Even this kind of cut is working. You can maybe make the shape worse, but so that's something to look out for later. Of course, if you do it now, yeah, Alan will probably give this up and then attack this. That's my guess. I have not looked at AI for any of these games, so I'm just kind of trying to give a human version, what is perceptible. Evan jumps, which is fine. I would be curious to see... So the danger of the jump is that if it doesn't defend the corner, which means that the C14 stone has a lot of flexibility. I assume that Alan didn't want to play this way because normally the shape has a weakness for white, but white won't add a move. White will play somewhere. But the weakness is usually here, but with the jumping move, it seems hard to exploit this weakness is all. The stones are, this is working, so maybe I should read a bit. My first instinct was here, but obviously there's this kind of issue, but even this is like fine. A little bit slow. Don't have to connect, actually. We could squeeze, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why he avoided this. Maybe he just connects and leaves it, and it's fine. There's obviously the clamp at B14 later, but it's not that big a deal. But maybe they both know something I don't. Alan double approaches. Maybe also saying that since there's a stone added here, we want to make white do more of the work to eat the C14 stone, and we develop the top side. Pretty reasonable. I'm pretty sure if you put this in AI, they'll all be fine. Evan plays this Joseki. Without these two stones, this is a pretty... It's rare, but you see it, Joseki. I think you can make a claim, though, that, and this is like what you'd expect, but you can make a claim that this shape is a little bit slow. You can also make a claim that the C14 stone, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm sure it's fine, but you can imagine that this exchange hasn't happened, and it's like, this formation, given black getting both of these, kind of meh. And then you say, okay, is this exchange really a good exchange for white? It is. It's definitely better for white than it is for black, because the stones are coordinating better, and black can link up, of course, on the second line, but you'd have to spend an extra move for that. But still, I think the efficiency is a little low, but that might just be me. Whoops, didn't mean to press sync. Used to pressing sync from all the days. In the actual game, Evan takes another corner, so there he has compensation, he has Sente. Alan wants to block this way. He wants this side to be the uninteresting side with the low stone and the strong group here. And then he encloses. Often in this shape I see Q9. He plays R9. Same idea, you just break up the space. There's not really much reason, nothing in depth. And Alan comes back. So this coming back is quite big too, because there are weak points here that Alan can look at, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. It's also kind of big. Not huge, but big. Maybe he thinks that it's pretty fine to settle this group by itself. I also think so. This pincer's quite far. Evan continues the attack. This is the general vital point. Alan moves out. This is... generally when you're moving these stones, you have a few options. You can play this across attach, but on this board, you would be counterattacked like this. You can take the stone, but you have a hard time defending these. You can play the kick, but then you have to run out like this, or try to make some combination against these, but because there's two stones and not just one, you can't, like... If you imagine this isn't here, you could run out to the side, but not great. And then the press is usually made to like build a space, but obviously here, the cut with these stones is kind of uninteresting, or rather dangerous. So Alan plays the safe jump. You can force with N3 and answer N4. This is sort of anytime forced. If white just attacks, then black playing N3 is nice. The cut doesn't work. You would just get squeezed probably, and then defend. But if you were to like press, then black doesn't have to answer yet, but eventually black can extend and get ahead and make some start to make some eyes here. So white prevents that with this exchange, but the downside is that later black has a nice Hane M3 to make shape, and the stones are pretty connected. So this is the local continuation. Just if you were to continue, deny the Hane at m3. But the danger is that after pushing, you'd have to answer, and then maybe black can start reinforcing the group by coming around the stones here. And again, remember how white played 0-2 and had a strong group here? Although white is building territory here, it's a little bit over-concentrated. Like black was never going to invade this space after 0-2 because this white is strong on both sides, right? That's the situation we want to avoid usually, is having stones in between two strong groups, because we can't really do much with our stones. So Evan Hanes, I haven't really studied this. I know that this is the next move, but I haven't studied whether this Hane is a mover or not. Knowing Alan and Evan, though, they both know their Joseki quite well, so I'll see what happens. Alan makes these exchanges, so kind of creating a lot of weak points and asking Evan, how will you defend, right? So you're kind of testing how your opponent's going to respond before you exploit it. That makes you more efficient. Evan backs up like this, which means that any move here is sente because of, well, not 100% sente, but almost sente. There's also, so Alan does this right away. So now he's saying, okay, I'm going to fix my weak point. This sequence is forced, right? You can't let black go through. And now I have the 0-2 and K4 cuts that I'm going to use together. So he cuts here. There's no reason to make this exchange yet because sometimes you might want to, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Sometimes you just don't need to, so and it's always going to be sente. So yeah, it can also sometimes help your opponent with the way their shape works. There are cases where after this exchange and the cut, maybe somehow white wants to play n1 to live, whereas here obviously you wouldn't be able to do that. If you really wanted to, you could play m2, like for the left side. So saving it for later still denies an option, which is nice. It's relatively... It probably doesn't matter in this case, honestly, but it's a good technique to just wait until the ideal timing, like the last minute, right? where you're sure that that's what you want. Alan cuts. So again, the threat is Atari here and then cut. Or just cut first. I'm not sure. So cutting first, obviously they take, and then here they would sack like this. And the question is, if you do this, then maybe you don't make that exchange and you just do this. And then in endgame, if you ever get this block, you have a little bit more here. Right? So that's one argument for not cutting first. But yeah, I mean, I think it's probably better not to cut first. But in any case, in the game, white's not going to let us die. You can play something passive, but it's really hard to fix the shape. Like, you could play something like this, I guess. But, well, first of all, that means this extension is sente. Or this Atari. So that probably black would move somehow kind of lightly. I'm not entirely sure. But in the game, white went for a more forcing line, playing Atari and trying to cover, pushing the black stones into the strong group here. Alan goes for the turn, again still threatening this n2 cut. For example, if we extend, then Atari is sort of forcing. You could defend like this, but then this is forcing, and then you're easily living inside. And if you connect, then cut and capture. So Evan defends all the weak points with connecting here, sort of defending, but this Hane is still sente because of the n2 cut. Defends, and then Hanes. So we're kind of using all the weakness before we play this Hane. If we play this Hane first, then we might sometimes lose a Liberty at h4, which means that the sequences we're just looking at would not work. So white's continuing the plan to pushing black into the wall, and we cut. Obviously, they're reading all this. No one wants to make empty triangle, but if you play here, then probably... I'm not sure what's better. First thought is I can live, maybe, but also this cutting is annoying because you have to save the two stones. Maybe this is not good enough. Still not even working, but there's obviously a problem in the center. There's a net or capture or ladder. Ladder is good for black too. So at this moment, after the cut, which seems like overplay, but maybe Evan thought it's the only way he could play. Alan Atari's to, if you don't Atari and just cut right away, there's this kind of sequence, and I'm not sure if it's working, but it's the first thing that came to mind. Seems working. Seems still okay for black, but obviously getting this Atari is a cleaner result. No one wants to play the empty triangle, so it's a good move, but it does give Evan the chance to compromise by playing this Atari. And oh, is this the game? Yeah, okay, they play this ladder, sort of half ladder, not really a ladder because we capture. This is gonna be a ko. So now Alan's already happy. So remember this bottom side we said was not very important. No one to play here. No one wanted to play here, so we could sort of assume it's going to be mostly whites. But that means that white hasn't really made a lot of profit here, even though it looks like white's capturing. Instead, we would rather think of it like black reduced a bit here, and now white has this liability in the center that black can take advantage of. This last move is necessary to avoid the clamp, obviously, which would kill. So Alan does just that. Alan attacks the center. It would be really painful for white to have to capture this group directly. Not only would it cost you 1, 2, 3 moves in exchange for outside moves, but the way this shape is looking, I guess if white gets to play here first, it's fine, but if black can somehow make this exchange first, which you couldn't block because of the Atari, like black does this before, white plays g1, then this is a ko, which could be even more annoying. Black attacks the center in the game, white defends. You can't do this now because you cut. You just die. White defends, black, yep, makes the exchanges now to make it so that it's a ko. And then white continues in the middle. Or sorry, black continues in the middle. And this is actually where I started watching the game, and it looks pretty one-sided. I actually think I stopped watching in a bit, but they play out basically every move is forced. You could think that this is force, so it's 1, 2, 3 moves in the ko to capture this group. And if you play anything, this Atari will happen and then connect, and it's going to be kind of the same results. But just like we said earlier, you don't want to make this kind of Atari exchange if you don't have to, because you might want to later play the other Atari or something. In the game, everything is forced. Alan pushes here first, just getting a little bit of profit before doing the center. This kind of push, you want to be careful because it loses a liberty, but Alan has 2 liberties here, so it's probably not that dangerous. And if you do get the push, you reduce the territory. But sometimes you want to be careful because a lot of Q players will push early and like put themselves in a awkward shortage of liberties. This push is the only move, and they just push down. And here's kind of our first choice. You do want to play this Atari to make shorten the liberties, because later, if this group is in danger, white won't answer, and that means that these 2 spaces are 2 liberties for this tail part, this outside part. Whereas if you shorten the liberties like this, then there's no liberties here, and they're all connected. And you want to do that before the fight gets big enough where white might consider giving up these 6 stones. Here, black has a choice. You have to block at c8, I believe. Yes. And when I was reviewing this game with a friend earlier, we were watching from here, and we were kind of saying, okay, so the situation from here, you should kind of read it out from here, if not earlier. And it's not that it's long, but every move is forced, and the only choice is whether to connect here or connect here. C9, D9 doesn't work. I'm not going to go into that, but basically you are just ever so slightly short of winning this. So this block happens. Oh, it doesn't happen. This block happens. And then here, Alan plays a push, which is extremely confident and severe. But even if he plays a connect, I am pretty sure that white cannot win. There's only 3 liberties here, which means if you extend, then you're going to get captured. So that means white will play here, and then you play this kind of pushing out sequence. If you just hane, there's a ladder to the upper right. So white would hane here, threatening these first, then hane, but actually it doesn't really matter because at this point, we have 3 liberties, so we have to keep taking liberties, but if you turn this way, this is forcing, and then worst case, you're short. So you have to push this way, but then there's another ladder. It might seem like a lot of reading, but for strong players, this sort of outside shape, these ladders are quite common in fights, so strong players have a lot of experience reading them. But Alan is even more severe. Alan pushes, which means that these have less liberties, and because he maybe knows or anticipates that the white group will get captured, he doesn't have to worry about this cut at c10 because he knows that this other part will get captured. I don't know. I'm maybe not that confident myself, but this is what happens. The moves are basically still forced. Evan, that's good technique. I didn't see this. He cuts here, which gives you a different forcing move at L9 to deny the ladder. No, they make these exchanges to set up the ko. So basically, Evan decided that you can't actually run this stone out and win because if black gets the first move here, you die. So instead, Evan says, okay, this ko has 1, 2, 3 moves, and I have 3 liberties, so I'm going to start the ko after getting my value on the outside and setting up ko threats. Alan says, okay, deny you the ko threat, make my outside strong. The ko is not that big. Remember, this space was already always probably white's, and in exchange, black got very strong on the outside. Evan is getting some value, trying to settle the outsides, because Evan can always answer a move by starting the ko. It's pretty painful, but better than spending another move and letting black get even more on the outside. And he doesn't really have ko threats. Wow, that's a shape. So Alan's attacking this group and saying that these cutting stones are kind of meaningless. That's fair. He's aiming at like this giant thing. You make an eye, start making an eye, force the connection because then this is sente, because play away, push. Wait, you can't do that. What? I guess turn is sort of sente. I mean, the black group is not alive, so you kind of would be forced to enter the ko, I guess. But looks rather scary. Alan says, I'm not doing that, I'm just gonna live. Valid. There's a Miai, or like just two. You can't take the spot away, it's too far. So Evan goes back and lives, and we pincer. Attack towards strength. You are very strong here, so push the white group in and build this gigantic thing. I think after this, there's like some Hangma stuff, but normally there's not really that much of interest, and I want to see the other games. Alan is very annoying. He's like, oh, you cut me, and now is the time that the value has gone up. I'm going to start the ko. And then my ko threat will be to, save the group that got cut off by killing you. And so Evan wants to fight the ko back, right, answering the threat. But then Evan's threat is to threaten to ladder or capture these, I guess, with a ladder breaker. Cool ladder breaker. Also just, I guess there's a net anyway, but if you're kind of behind, maybe try to do something. And Alan says it's good enough for me to solidify and take the right side, which it is. And that's the game. It seems like Evan just got into a very bad situation after this cut and fight. I would have to study this a bit to figure out what exactly went wrong. It looks like Alan just played the situation out very well. Maybe being short on liberties here and pushing into your wall, it was a bit dangerous if this cut wasn't actually working. Alright, next game. This is a game between Jay and Michael. I saw a little bit of this too. This is a very interesting move. Normally you don't allow this press, but it's fine. I will talk to Jay later, but this move is not a move. You may have seen this move. But generally speaking, this move is only played when you have a pincer because you want to deny black the forcing moves against it. However, if there's no pincer stone, you generally want to jump because it's just better for your own development. Jay might say it's not important because P17 means the top side is low value. That's kind of true. But if black ever slides, you have to come up like this, and you're kind of opening up the value in this space anyway. So it seems a bit awkward to me. I'd rather go for the move that just settles. Michael also immediately presses, which means you're getting pushed into low value space, and later the slide. You won't die, but it's annoying. Jay's thinking, okay, there's a wall here, so I'm going to expand and deny it, two places where the influence overlaps. Michael continues. This one exchange, you kind of leave it. Very rarely, but sometimes you will Hane. And for white, later you can clamp, but it's kind of gote. And black's, how do I put this? If black does nothing, then when white plays here, you might tenuki, but you might also block, right? That's pretty normal. Or you could push and block, but white won't save the stone. However, because in the game this exchange has already happened, then this is still big. It's very big, but after blocking, the threat of capturing is bigger since there's a since white already put a stone in, or like this stone is already here. Not that much bigger, but bigger. Alright, so we play this. Now the main point is really just to like test how white will answer. Usually white answers like this, but sometimes if you do it later, white might play some more conservative move, or might play the very expensive way to live if white really needs to live. So just good to have this exchange early. Classic, you extend from an extension, or extend from an enclosure. White slides. Also pretty normal, but I think modern style is to play a pincer here to develop and handle this separately, but slide is fine. The only downside of the slide is this press later is a bit annoying because when black plays here, then there's a push and cut. So you have to answer like this or something. It's rather unappetizing. Black continues developing. Jay takes the stone. Isn't that rather small at this point? I think the bottom side is very important, especially because this is the weakest group. I guess Jay might be thinking this cut is important, but seems ill-timed. Black immediately presses. Okay. That's rather painful. Oh, one of the downsides of playing this slide early is also this move is more forcing. If you don't play the slide, you play some other move. Let's play Jay's move, just a big show. And you play here, then you play away. Then later, white can play this Hane and live in the corner anyway. Right? This kind of life. So it's a small life, like you have this. But the point is just that Q6 is slightly more forcing if you have committed to saving the corner like that. So, that's a good point. I didn't recognize that this was really important. I was thinking, like something like this, but this is a good move by Michael to take advantage of the early slide. A lot of Q players might block here, but second line and white's already alive means it's not that important. Michael plays a big place. Testing how white wants to handle this enclosure while also expanding. If white pushes, you're just going to jump, and you're happy. The outside is bigger than this first line, second line. Jay pushes up, and jump is pretty typical, although there's also this option to go down. When I was studying in Korea recently, we were talking about how this move is very popular recently because this shape tends to go like this, and the corner has this is if it was one line over, this is a very classic shape, but normally in the classic shape you want to be able to squeeze and call it an L group, but it's one line over. So actually, you're fine. So that means that here black can easily later break the corner or have some aji there. So blocking down is actually a pretty good move for developing this side. But of course, jump is totally fine too. Jump says I'm emphasizing the center, and I'm looking to later play c7 or d6. Sorry, c7 or d7 to invade the left. C7, d7 are the typical follow-ups to the shape. Again, I haven't studied it that much, but I don't know, some move. The idea of this move would be to play this attachment usually, which if it goes like this, I don't remember exactly, but it's something like this, and you're aiming at clamp ideas. And if they go down, then you hane, aiming at cutting, and if they extend, then you can make a life. Yeah, I think this shape, if you do your Tsumigo, you should know that this shape is alive. Yeah, but I mean, this is a little bit different with C9, but that's the typical idea. Continuation. Jay says, yeah, I spent the move at B16. I'm attack your group. Reasonable. Except we're worried that we're spending too many moves to attack. And now we're like, Michael's like, okay, you attack me, I block you from the center. Now what? Jay's thinking I'm going to get some strength to attack this group. Very typical attacking idea. This is a strange sequence, but okay. I see. He wants to combine this move with the cut here and threatening these. That is a strong combination shape, but seems expensive when the corner is being given so cleanly. You had other options in the corner here. Maybe shoulder hit is obviously black won't push, but this is a more reasonable idea. But obviously, if you shoulder hit, black might like pincer or something to reinforce the group, and your strategy changes to invading rather than attacking. And if you like to attack, then you set up an attack. This combination is pretty cool. A little bit risky because you're paying up a cost up front, so you have to be very confident in your read. Michael saves a stone and then gives up the other stone, saying, okay, you paid me so much, I will just give you this part back and it's fine. That's pretty reasonable. If you look at the shape here, this exchange looks really bad for white. I mean, having to come back also feels really bad. I feel like if you're going to take this, just take it, because helping black here is probably not good. Because he went back and took it after pushing twice, and yes, that does almost get your head out, but it seems like you're playing kind of dame and giving black the option of enclosing, so I don't know. Not my preference. Seems a little sus. Does that really work? So Jay is saying if black plays away, I'm going to push here, and now you have to deal with this, and then there's a cut, which I guess true. That is dangerous. Maybe turn, and we're going to say, okay, now we can live in the corner. Seems also expensive, but okay. But Michael answers anyway, saying, where are you going? The stone is in the sea of black things, so have to see. Push and cut. Nice. Probably giving up the 2 stones. So if we do this, Michael's saying, I don't care about the 2. You spent 2 moves here. You got 2 stones. Your shape is pretty inefficient, so Jay knows this too. He was never going to go for the 2 stones. He wanted to cut to try to make something happen with the R14 stone. So I guess his plan was to use this combination of weaknesses. I like the idea. I just think that he paid so much up front that it's hard to make use of. Yeah, he's kind of like trying to bait Michael to separate them, and even then I'm not entirely sure, but some sort of... If black wasn't... black is very strong. It's just, if you can make a forcing move and cover or something, or here, and then maybe some long read to seal, but it seems a little dubious to me. Michael says, I don't care. Again, second line is not important. I was never playing for territory. I'm playing for strength and efficiency, so he just takes the center. Pretty reasonable. You might wonder why he doesn't just extend, because obviously Atari later can extend, but if white had extended first, then when black goes back, you've kind of made white commit more. So Michael wants to make the white stones heavy before defending. And then he goes back to defend. I actually don't know if this is good or not. In old books with the 3-4 point, this was considered a bad shape because after the wedge, it's hard to defend both cuts. So in old books, they would say to play here because it's better for building. However, because of the corner weaknesses we were talking about with the F2 stone and stuff, maybe this is fine. I don't know. Jay doesn't bother with that. Jay's like, okay, I need to make something happen. I'm going to threaten to attack these with the cut and reduce the bottom. Michael defends. If white answers, then we're going to probably push once and then play big place, saying, hey, this is fine, and then I'm going to keep developing. If you follow Michael Chen, it's his favorite words, sustainable development. This other Michael is also just sustainably developing. Jay finally wedges and creates the cutting points, and this is a good vital point, except that in this case, going down, you can't actually cut. You'd have to allow yourself to get squeezed, which is rather painful. I think in situations like this, K3 could be a better vital point, because if they defend, you have some more space. And if they go down, then you can like peep like this, or peep like this, right? This one is a cut. And that might give you a better foothold to live in the bottom, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. Jay likes to put more pressure, so this puts more pressure. It is true that in this shape, I wonder if you played it, J4 is typically the peeping move. Like you force black to connect, which also helps you live. I'm just reading, like if you play this, if you can get one exchange somewhere first, it would be good, but not sure. Jay decides to peep like this, also fine. In exchange for having a cutting point, you also give yourself this Atari later. Jump is okay. I don't know what Jay's gonna do. This seems hard. It might be heavy, but my inclination is, I don't know. I was gonna say tiger, but I guess I would just sell this and then play here, and then you can deny me a base and then move out somehow. It might be an idea, but it's kind of, where am I going with all the blackstones here? But it's an idea. Michael's sustainably developed. He's like, okay, maybe it's not the most severe attack with taking away your base, but I'm reinforced with the weaknesses. You spent a move at N10 now, so this is much more valuable way to take, and he's going to keep developing while putting pressure. Jay attaches to get out. Ooh, okay, you hate to see it. This kind of thing, if this is the hangmail you're choosing, it's a little bit awkward because you wanted this Atari, or to do something with this, but now you never want an Atari because it's empty triangle. I don't know what else you could do, though. One option might be if I can't answer L7, well, I might play this. Obviously, this is very painful, but maybe it's okay. I don't know. But this Atari is more relevant now because sometimes it'll help you get this I shape in Sente. But still, painful. Painful. And we go back. If I was going to go back, like, these moves here didn't really help me develop or save my groups, so I would have rather, if I was going to do that, I'd rather just play here to start. If black has another move here, I mean, yes, it's big, but like I will likely live with this group now. Paying something here, yes, you get a bit more, but it also means like, yeah, this kind of move is more forcing. When it's just one stone, when it was just one stone, like this, then you could be like, I don't really care about that one stone. I'll give it to you, kind of thing. Obviously, this is a bit too nice, but the idea is you could give it to black and you just take care of yourself. But after you've exchanged the bamboo joints, then you kind of feel like you have to connect, and it's very awkward. Michael's insisting, so you connect. Jay gets some profit before, or like create some weakness before, but painful fixes. You're still not alive. Okay, we're being alive, and then Michael moves to the left side. I'm curious about this way. I don't really know how to reduce this kind of extension very well. Michael's choosing a very safe route. Doesn't even break the left, but he should feel pretty confident. This move is testing if white wants to allow the Atari or not. If you don't allow it though, then this Hane is quite painful. Jay cuts here, good technique. If white plays away, they wouldn't do it now, but there is a danger of this kind of move. If you Atari, it looks just suicidal, but after Atari, and then throw in. Can't connect, so you have to go here, and then Atari, you can't connect because then the whole thing dies. So for endgame, it's rather big for these parts, which means that white needs to defend. Normally, defense would be like this, but Jay is saying, hey, if you Atari from this side, then I get this one for free, so I get Sente. Or if you Atari from this side, then maybe you've left some more weaknesses on the outside. He doesn't defend at all, even though black chose the other way, because he probably recognizes that if black solidifies the center, it's a pretty tough spot for him. One thing I really appreciate about Jay is he's always like trying to fight and do his best. He's not willing to just like roll over. He's got a lot of fighting spirit, so he's trying to make some trouble in the black shape, but yeah, he's trying to make some trouble in the black shape, but Michael just answers saying, hey, I don't see where it's going. And then Jay plays Shulbuta, like he's trying to, this is kind of a do or die move. If it works, he's great. If it doesn't, then he's in trouble. Michael answers, and then Jay says, never mind, I'm going this way. It's not entirely never mind. He's trying to set up the cut at F9, or if he ever gets a stone at H12, or something with this other cut becomes active, he could use that wedge Aji, but it seems then maybe premature, but maybe, it's hard to get it later, so he's making Michael commit. Michael turns, saying, hey, if you cut me, I'll live in the corner, so I'm going to make you defend first. Danger, it's a bit of a question. Like, if you defend like this, then Michael might just be happy to capture because there's the clamp stuff we showed earlier. But if you defend passively like this, which is a bit more solid, then you have shapes like this, where this push and the combination with the left is kind of annoying to start making eye shape. And there's also the clamp at J2, so you're not really that much in danger. Jay says, I'm going to cut you anyway, and then you have to show me that you can actually live. But he lives. And then he cuts the center and seems a little desperate. I imagine it's not much longer. Oh, cool that this shape ended up working for Jay, because now this wedge thing doesn't work, but obviously he had to pay a lot. This is not really a danger either. Michael can always wedge and make a snapback, or play from this side, double Atari. It's not, I don't think there's anything else. This one, worst case you could play here and do that, but like you could probably just Hane. It's fine. Yeah, so this bottom group is fine because of that, which means, yeah, that's all she wrote. I feel like Jay kind of played some slow moves early on and then banked on trying to use some weaknesses, but paid a little bit too much early. It's kind of the story of this game. So the sequencing could have been a bit better, but sequencing is extremely difficult. All right, Ethan versus Eric Lee. I've been really enjoying watching Eric. Eric's a good friend of mine. He's been playing really well overall. I think this game highlighted just how well he's been doing, but I think, yeah, I enjoy watching Eric's games. He doesn't want to play into prep in general, so he approached on the second move and played Taisha. He really likes to get out of the opening quickly and then make it about playing Go, right? Testing your skill rather than knowledge kind of stuff. Ethan avoids the Taisha, but Eric says, I'm not going to let you off so easily. I'm not going to just block and give you the easy defensive variation. He's going to make Ethan have to defend, so he plays this way. This push and push is pretty normal. This is kind of strange. Usually when you make this combination, you pull back. The idea being that if white extends, then you cut and you can capture these. Although it doesn't seem you can capture them here. Maybe that's why he changed his mind. But typically the idea is to make it heavier and then cut with this. But if he's just going to push, then just don't push in. Don't make that exchange, because later when you kick here to defend the corner, you might have a better follow-up with the Hane. Whereas if you push here and then kick, then this push and then tiger is quite appealing. It's a little different than here where the tiger, even if you answer, instead of pushing, you could peep later. So the sequencing is a little bit unusual, but I don't know. Ethan does push. He's just pushing. It's kind of strange that he's just doing this, to be honest. Probably white should extend, but I don't know. You're playing down a corner when you play this way as Eric, so he hanes. And he says that this fight is going to be good for him. Probably if this was like an extra corner you had, it would be good for you, but you're also playing down from having the root, the Q17 stone. Ethan comes back to defend, and Eric gets a key point over this group. So seems pretty nice result for Eric to seal it in, but the problem is, of course, even though after everything lives, the problem is that this was white's side of the board. Which means also this is a little slow now. I guess you have to live. Okay. The problem is that this was white side of the board, so this space and this space are kind of the same, and then this group and this group are kind of the same. Black got to come over first, so black hasn't really lost anything, even though white, you would think that getting Q8 would be a very good battle point. So it's kind of strange. Obviously defend, attack the group, jump out, pretty direct. Eric is sort of claiming this is kind of a weak group for black. Ethan needs to reinforce his connection at some point. Defending here now is kind of slow. It also gives you N15 later. I don't like that move, but maybe he didn't want to jump, I guess, is a thing, because there's still some issues here. So he wanted to live, but it seems a little slow to me. Big place. Many key players probably be like, hey, I should, attack the corners first. True, but when you have a giant wall like this, it is very good to make an extension. I would probably play here. Yeah, it's just too good. But the other claim could be to attack the corner here and put pressure on both. I think that's also an idea, but if you lose Sente and black gets to come here first, I think it's a bit awkward. So nice place by Eric. Ethan answers. Probably as black, you should use your initiative somehow to attack the group. You spent a move at 15, so I would want to continue here. Maybe he thinks that this is Gote, it's too slow, but this is kind of like the situation you want. You want weak group, right, by the strong group, and you want to attack with potential behind it to develop. That way, if they try to contest the potential, then when you eventually come up, that stone gets weaker because this is in trouble. That's kind of the generally good idea, but maybe he thought he was like, oh, you're right, Eric, this is too big. I need to play this, and I'm going to set up an invasion later. But Eric already got the main course type of idea with K4, so you're just getting the second biggest move in that area. And then Eric goes back, and he's leaning on the stone to gain strength to attack J17. He's not really trying to attack it. He's trying to actively settle or gain value from these stones. The other thing is, since Michael played 015, these stones are kind of light. He can aim to sacrifice them. He just has to do it in a way that gets something. And that getting something is probably by putting pressure on J17. Very defensive answer by Ethan. Usually Yuhane, but he's worried about, well, if you play the most aggressive way, he's worried about something like this. But of course, I think at this point you would try to bail. Also, you can, like, there's stuff like this that's kind of, right? Like you could sack it, parts of it. But, or you can connect and say, hey, are you really able to do this? That does look like a good point, though, to me. But, you know, it just seems a little bit passive because now you're giving Eric way into the corner. I guess he thinks this direction is better. Interesting defense. B18 is definitely an option. The shape is here, typically. However, then you're not making use of the fact that black never answered C18. So Eric is saying not answering is bigger, and Eric likes his points, so I assume that's why he played it. But this formation is starting to become very awkward for black. It's hard to defend the shape here. Eric is very good at abusing the shape. You want to tiger, but the Atari and jump is scary, to be frank. So he plays here. But if it's me, I'm thinking this shape is heavy for black. Like, I don't have to save f16, but you always have to worry about me running f16 out. So I would like play something like this is my intuition, because move away from the strong group, make you capture, get my head out of the sector line. So if you play something like this, then I'm probably safe here, and then I can go do something else on the left. That's my feeling. But Eric he likes to do technical stuff, so he's pulling out the stone because the ladder doesn't work. I think when I was reviewing, this is the point which point I started reviewing with my friend, and we were saying how J15 seems the most natural hangma. The idea is that the weakness of this shape is the turn, right? You don't want to allow white to turn, so you need to defend that turn. If you play the knight move like in the game, when white extends here, which is what happened, you then have to defend this cut. And you have to defend the bamboo joint. So these are like two weaknesses. If you create two weaknesses with a heavy group, your opponent can just wait, because the minute they don't need to use the weakness, you can't defend both. So the minute you defend one, your opponent's going to try to use the other. You sometimes can defend both, but it's kind of hard. Like here, you could defend both with a peep, I guess, but that's paying something to white in order to do that. Also, I think N15 is good timing here. The idea being, if you cut like this, then the peep doesn't do anything. If you cut like this, then this exchange is a little bit beneficial. If you capture, you didn't really gain much, but for white, white could maybe clamp later, or Atari later, or connect later, right? So it's giving white some leverage. If you just defend, then connect is also fine, but you got some value. It's a good question. But yeah, this is a little bit awkward. So J15 defends the push because you have enough liberties here, and if white just plays this extend, then when you jump, there's a peep here, but like you have defended the main weakness and the turn weakness. So jump seems like a better hangma. In the game, Michael defends the left, which is also fair, very big. Eric comes out. Michael defends like this. This is defending this weakness, right? So we just said Eric's going to exploit the other one. This is really awkward to defend. You don't want to play the empty triangle. Without this move, I think this is the standard way to defend. You pull back and they play this. White's like, I'm sad, I play this, and black is I'm also sad, but black got J15. But you're also sad because white's going to get this move, which means that white can connect up under later. So still not great. Black's shape is obviously not great. But here, yeah, you don't really have a great response anyway. This is even worse now. I think you can push, maybe. Because the reason the push is more annoying than before is that by playing this move, you made it so that these are more relevant. But yeah, either way, this is annoying. And then this move is, you have to defend the cut, right? When we were discussing this before, someone mentioned maybe playing the peep. Peep first seems good. It denies some timing. An option for white that is kind of annoying is to play here. You notice that in the game, maybe black can play this way. It's hard to say which is better between g15 and h15. Usually it's hard to say, but you can kind of think of it like this. If you play g15 and white plays here, you're going to have to play h15 anyway. Which means that if you play here and white plays this one, you are not playing g15. Like, this move is terrible for white, so you shouldn't match it. So this is actually kind of helping. This shape is kind of worse for black. One idea then is to play this move and force black into this shape as an option. But yeah, not super clear. Eric obviously is not going to do this right away because it loses liberty, but it's and also because now I guess we don't peep you. This is still not great shape, but it's slightly more efficient. But it's still a problem. Eric defends, and this is the first like big mistake from Ethan, I think. Sorry, I think I confused Michael and Ethan. They're both like relatively young, so I get them confused. This kind of move felt really wrong to me. It was like the first time I was like, this seems bad. Why is it bad? So the reason it's bad is like, what if white plays away? Then how are you attacking? It's kind of like, how to explain this? Let's suppose this move is Sente. If it's Sente, then white's gonna live somehow. Okay? But it's possible that some move out here in the center could have made the same threat of like attacking the base and then forcing this group out and maybe killing it. If you have to choose between the move being at J11 or at L13, like as a Sente move, you rather it be out here because it's doing more work against the rest of the board. It's having more impact on the open spaces. Part of the way to recognize that is that this group is very far ahead of this area of the stone, so the value of this move is strictly limited to like trying to pressure this group. If I'm Eric, and I would spend a lot of time here thinking if I can just play away. In the game, Eric didn't play away because I think he felt the variation he chose was good, which is true. But I would highly consider like it feels to me like after this kind of thing, like you're gonna be alive anyway, and so I could consider just playing away. Eric in the game chose this one, which is fine. I don't like this way of defending because if you're gonna live like this, then this is just a bad exchange. However, Eric chose a very nice continuation to live and in Sente basically. So it's kind of the same as if he played away. He just didn't make black commit one more stone here. It's a bit clearer, but it's could be said to be slightly inefficient maybe, but I think it's pretty good, pretty clear. Yeah, I thought he played this really well. Move to the open space. Black kind of has to defend this group. If you play something else, then attaching here means you have very little space. You're gonna get bullied pretty hard. I don't know. Even just that's Sente. Maybe just turn here, and you're like, I have to live really painfully with everything. Seems pretty sad. Yeah, something. I don't know if you can actually poke this eye, but seems sad that white gets to bully you so much. Also, this turn at B17 is huge because of it's almost Sente for black against your stones. So white getting it would be bad. This happens. I remember I played a game with Ungyo where AI said I should push here when there's two stones, but it would be complicated after this, I imagine. So this is the normal, typical, very easy defense. It just later there's a peep here, which is annoying. So yeah, black goes for this. It seems strange to me. I thought that the this bottom area was more urgent. Of course, it's big. White extends to get 2 forcing moves on the outside instead of 1. And then here, I thought maybe Atari was better. We were talking about this because it asks Black a question. Q19 is not Sente, which means you can get an extra forcing move as white. But if Black answers this way, then R19 is sometimes going to be a bigger move for white. Just a thought, but it wasn't clearly 100%. So yeah. Anyway, it doesn't. It's small detail. It doesn't really matter. I don't know. I don't like it is not small, but I don't like that Ethan went for this because white is still alive and took Sente. To me, that seems strange. Ethan plays defensive. This move is what Eric's saying. He's winning. Typically in this shape, you would attach, but he probably is worried about something from the cut. It's not obvious that white can handle this, I guess, but even if it's like this, I guess it's worse. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess he probably did. He probably didn't want to make a giant fight like this or something, is my guess. But yeah, I don't know. Typically you attach, but this is fine. Ethan plays this move. It's forcing Atari Kikashi before defending. Sente, block, jump, peep. And then so Ethan's kind of behind because he spent so many moves attacking this group while Eric developed the rest of the board. And I think this is the place where I thought Eric was like being a bit trying too hard. I would just sack it. I counted the game and I said, okay, you need about 10 points here to win as white. So if you play the jump, then you're getting about 30. If black cuts here, black gets about 10, so you get 20 points. So you're probably about 10 points up. Cutting is actually quite slow, like all things considered, but maybe this way. But like Eric decided I'm gonna play really strong. I guess he wanted to leverage the T3 Sente against this group, is my guess, but it's a bit greedy in my opinion. I don't know why he doesn't just connect. He pushes and connects, and then isn't that just helping black? Like if black, I guess he's worried about this or something. I don't know. But black could do that anyway. This is a bad exchange. I don't know what he's worried about. But this seems like bad technique to me to do this. That's not entirely true. He wants to make black heavy, but to me it's helping black shape. I don't know. And then this move stuck out to me like crazy. I'm like, what is this? This move, the peep is so painful. You're making empty triangle, and you can't avoid it, really. I would have wanted to play like maybe here, and then take the base, and then something like this or something, but like very heavy. In the game, Eric goes here. I don't know if this is right. I feel like maybe given the way the game played, extend is better. If you defend or something, you already profited. But in the game, he gets cut here and then changes his mind. I mean, he can't really do anything about it. Like when he extends, and this cut is just working, so it's a bit strange. So now he's because it's sort of like black got very strong here. You also got very strong here, but the border of the spaces hasn't changed. You now have to use the strength more actively because you're less flexible. You already paid black something here. And that means you're now more committed to kind of killing or doing something with this. Peep is good. This is also a nice vital point. I would have played this one because the normal shape without the stone is to jump here because you have the stone at 08, but obviously in this case the cut is working. Maybe he was worried about this kind of thing, I guess. Still seems hard to live, but maybe he was worried about that. So he played more aggressively. But I don't like the fact that this stone is one line over because then the clamp is annoying. He seals. I don't think there's anything else he could really do. These are kind of time sigey, but Paige, I remember, was saying, how can you possibly answer this? Isn't this just bigger? Especially because you can't kill. Like, if you try to break the eye here, white can make an eye, and it's ko, right? Yeah, it's ko. And if black plays here or whatever, then Atari. Oh, I guess this is. It would still be ko. You can't play here because this is dead. So you'd have to fight this ko. But like, yeah. But I mean, I know that they were both in time trouble at this point, so they probably just Eric probably just thought I'm just gonna take advantage of this group. It seems very hard to kill though. And then here I guess his move is working. I misread something, but I was like, isn't O2 very clean? If they answer, then here they have one eye. It's very clear. And if they play here, then this cut means these are miai. So also very clear. But he went this way. And I think, yeah, this was a bit of a crazy sequence. In the end, Eric gains enough liberties. It starts to become a race, but he gains enough liberties to ko this group and kill the bottom. Somewhere in here, he gets T3. Yeah, Michael played T6. I think Michael's losing, but he should probably just sack everything to live. But he says, oh, hey, I can make a ko on the right here because if at this point there's still a ko. But because Eric got T3, then the whole group here dies. So that's kind of the game. I feel like Eric played this game very well overall. I just was a bit... I feel like the bottom side got a bit dicier than it should have. Alright, last game. This is Val versus Jasper. I know Jasper and Val. Jasper sometimes goes by Moshwan as his Chinese name. He's a student at a PhD student, I believe, in math at UCSD. He's really nice. I learned a lot from him. The San Diego people tend to have a particular style that it's very difficult to handle. He likes to fight. Val studies very hard. I don't think she's been as active lately. She's been working and, I think she's at a stage of her life where she's working and doing other stuff. But she's quite strong. You may know her as being like a Tsumigo specialist. She's very good at Tsumigo. So interesting choice. You don't see this opening very often. I know from experiments with AI that this is if you turn the playout doubling advantage to negative the most, this is like the least reading intensive opening if you want to interpret like Katago saying that. But yeah. Very normal opening though. And most one often, maybe I'm spoiling secrets a bit, but I often see him go for this cut with this upper left Josaki. He likes to do this fight, so he's very experienced in it. It is a very difficult fight. Val trades with the cut. Normally this sequence happens from a different Josaki, but probably it's fine. The only thing I'm thinking here is that this exchange seems to favor white to me, because if you're alive and very strong here, you wouldn't want to attach or like to M14. You're like on the inside. But other than that, probably it's fine. Black approaches, answer, normal Joseki. This choice is interesting. I don't know. Usually I see this one when the stone is at D10, but probably also fine. We used to say that this is slightly good for black to get this in Sente, but this board is a little bit awkward where it's because of the strong F17 stone, it's hard for black to make use of these stones here. It's also true that it's hard for white to make use of this wall with R6, but the space is bigger, so there's a bit more potential there. Yeah, so not quite sure, but probably things are pretty chill still. Val goes for this move. She's threatening to pull out the R15 stone. So for example, if you play away, I think that's a threat. What else could it be? She's saying that there's a ko here. White should throw in once to make it so that when white wins the ko, that this is an Atari. But to me, it seems a little bit strange to go for that. It seems like it's far in the future. But yeah. It is a question though, because you, as black or as white, it might be that black doesn't start the ko like this, but rather it's a dead shape or something. Let's see, what else can you do here? I was trying to think of like if there's a forcing move or something Black can get to like up the value, but it's a little bit unclear to me. I don't know. I don't see anything in particular, but I'm sure she had some reason. To me, it just seemed a little slow. I remember talking to some people in the chat. They were saying that, yeah, it seemed a little odd. The shoulder hit's really strong choice. You know that this group is already very strong, so you don't mind if Black answers. I haven't played this move enough to feel comfortable with it, but the shape you're looking for is this shape with the shoulder hit is the key move. The reason is when Black pushes, if Black hanes, you're not going to cut, you just extend, because then you can link up like this to make a solid shape. That's kind of the thing you're going for. There's no trouble here because of the snapback. Which means that Black can't hane, Black has to cut, but it's kind of the same. You can do this and make the same shape. So it's actually kind of a very efficient press. But because there's like kind of some variations in there that I'm not sure what happens, I always feel a little uncomfortable about playing it. But it's a very strong move, and Jasper played it. Black answered, and usually you would expect White to just jump, but he wants to be more efficient, and he attaches. Again, he likes fighting. I guess he wants to play something like this, and then now it's even better, right? You cut off the black stones. Of course, I'm not entirely sure if everything is working because there's variations like this. Where, yeah, this is like a common variation. I guess you could do something like this, and then like here. Normally you play turn or you play here or jump, but I guess in this case maybe this one, not sure. Something to coordinate. Trying to find some combination might be an idea. In the game, Val just pulls back. Generally, this exchange is, if you had the small enclosure, this shoulder hit would be considered good for Black. So it's a little bit not what you would like, but I can understand not knowing what your opponent's up to and wanting to be a bit safe. Obviously, there's a lot of nerves in pro qualification, and especially in the first round. Everyone wants to start off on a good record, so I understand wanting to pull back. Moshan just jumps. Again, now that this pulled back, you have a choice between whether you think this jump or this jump is better. Generally, you want to lean on the stronger group that's still kind of playing towards the stronger group and indirectly applying pressure to the main group. Val defends, he makes this group stronger. Peep probably thought if White connects, maybe jump. I don't know. This Peep is a little bit ill-timed, I feel. I'm not sure, even if White connects, what the next move is. Yeah, and it seems like you might want R9 in the future to stabilize this group, so I'm a little bit suspicious, but Moshan plays a more aggressive and direct answer. You want to take cut. I'm happy to cut and attack your group. But Val says that's fine. I will live in your space and I'll take the cash. So she could be right about that. P3 asking how to defend the corner, but usually when you play this, you haven't given Black all these stones. So Black extends, White jumps, and this feels a little good for Black because White spent a whole move on this exchange, and obviously M7 is doing more work right now than P3. But she has to prove it. So attach, extend, defending this cut is clear, moving out, defending this cut by also threatening to cut. If you play something like this cut is game over. Val leans on this so that way this cut would be threatening these stones. And then you could kill the corner maybe. Not kill, but it's a go-to life, and then maybe you can probably extend once and then play this kind of thing would be good. Obviously they're reading a lot more than I am, but she manages to defend the cut. So he defends the cut, and then she gets the free move. Later, this is some good endgame. This Atari... Oh, double Atari. Okay, normally this kind of Atari is just helping your opponent because you have to fix, but she says, I'm not going to fix, I'm going to attack you. Okay. Reactivating the cut. If you defend, there's... Again, this is happening. So, breaking black shape before cut, before defending. But this result is good for white. This is as if you played extend and here, and then you pushed in, which is not a great shape. Not sure what. Maybe just press if she wanted to do that. I don't really know why she wants to go from this direction though either. I think her group is actually fine, right? So maybe coming back to here or something is big. I guess she doesn't want this Hane. But worst case this happens, and is this not alive? Like, there's naively one eye at R13. Can you get rid of this eye? Seems hard. Like, this is me eye for the other eye. So it seems pretty hard to kill, but I don't know. Seems a bit strange to me. Yeah, and then this attachment also strange to me. I don't know. Yes, there is some space here, but isn't this very urgent? You never answered P3. And there's a Hane looming. Oh, she wants to defend the cut in Sente. Okay, so she's worried about this cut. That makes me even more suspicious, but I mean, obviously now we said that this could maybe live, but these are, you paid something for them by committing, so now it's a bit awkward. I see. But most one just cuts anyway. Oh my gosh. And then she has to live. And then he lives, and then we defend with very awkward shape. I guess she's giving it up, because if you cut, you can't save him, so you give it up. Seems a bit of a bait. This must be bigger, right? I say that, but now that white's gotten this cut in place, there's a lot of value of like leaning on the left and swallowing it on a large scale. Okay, well he comes back to the bottom right and settles. She fixes the shape. You can't be very happy if you play this move. This move or this move are both annoying. White's happy to edge their way in a little bit, aiming at this cut maybe. You can't be happy with this shape as black, it's too many moves. Okay. We defend, maybe saying one day we will play the bamboo joint to cut. And then white pushes and black defends here. Is this corner in trouble? Maybe the corner's in trouble. I guess it's Sente, right? But you can always just capture this as a net. I'm not sure why she played here. Oh, I see. I guess because she spent a bunch of moves here, she wants to attack this huge thing, but it just seems kind of small. And now this cut is hurting. But she can't obviously take the time to fix it, so she's going to try to do something. Okay, some combination. That looks promising. Yeah, I like that. That's a great combination, Val. Oh, it looked good, but like this is, that just stops everything, doesn't it? Yeah. And now she has no wind lift in her sails, so it's hard. But she cuts here, that's pretty big. Forcing, forcing, forcing. So she did I don't really understand how this happened, but she cut this part in exchange for somehow this happening. What? Wait, let's go back. So most one pushed here, then she did this sequence, and she got to come back, and then white pushed, but then she immediately cuts. So this push just gets cut. Unfortunately, I can see the issue already, though, which is that after all the sente moves, pushing out here means white will get to break into the left side. That's super annoying because we defend, then cut is coming. So she defends and has to give it up. That's... oh man, how annoying. You're like, I finally found a counterattack, and then he just breaks in. Yeah, the reading is not that bad, but they're short on time, and it's difficult. Now, the only thing left is the left side, but yeah, white kind of got to run all around the board. Oof. A little bbit of a tough game. I think Moshan got to play the kind of game he likes, which is annoying. I think Val had a good idea of saying, hey, I'm going to take all this and defend the group on the right, but somehow this handling here became very awkward. I feel like if she's okay, maybe her reading is probably better than mine, but if she can live, she lived like this in the game. If she can live, then I think M3 is a much better place for her to play. The question is like this move, I guess, is an issue. But you can also, I mean, it's painful, but you can live like this, I guess, and that should be good enough. You can even play. I want to see if I can play this in Sente and leave this as Miai, but I don't think I can. No, I can't. So yeah. So, but it is big to give this to white, but I think M3 is big. I don't know. It feels like she deviated from her plan. She was trying to just like kind of take the profit here, but then she decided she's going to attack instead, and she ended up in an awkward shape that just compounded. Well, that was round 1 of the Pro Qualification tournament. So the results are here. You might have noticed that Eric Yoder, sorry, this is the results from round 2, but you might have noticed that Eric Yoder didn't play the first round. That's because each player has a bye in the first round. So I think Yoder in Division A and I think Chiyu from Division B had a bye. Alright, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. I'll do round 2 soon.